Did you know that inside you, right now, there's a river? It's not made of water, though. It's a living, flowing tissue that delivers, defends, and tells the complete story of your health. So today, we're going to decode the fascinating story of your blood.
So where does it all start? Well, deep inside your bones, there's this incredible process going on called hematopoiesis. Just try to picture this. Your body is a factory that never, ever sleeps, and it's churning out trillions of new blood cells every single day. It's an absolutely mind-boggling feat of biological engineering.
And that, right there, brings us to the big question. This is a perfectly balanced, finely tuned production line, but, what happens when something throws a wrench in the works? To really get what can go wrong, we first have to understand how it's all supposed to work in the first place.
So what's the deal with this river of life? What's it actually doing in there? Well, it's the ultimate multitasker. Seriously, it's transporting all your oxygen and nutrients, it's protecting you from infections, and it's even regulating your body temperature and pH. It's basically doing 3 critical jobs all at once.
Okay, here's something that probably blows most people's minds. When you think of blood, what do you picture? Just a sea of red cells, right? But take a look at this. More than half of your blood, a full 55%, is actually this yellowish liquid called plasma. The cells are just the passengers. Plasma is the highway they all travel on. Wild, huh?
All right, so let's get to know the actual team riding on that plasma highway. Even though they make up less than half the volume, these are the guys, the specialized workers, getting all the important jobs done.
To make this super simple, let's think of it like this. Plasma, that's the liquid highway. Your red blood cells? They're the tireless oxygen taxis, making deliveries to every single corner of your body. White blood cells are your personal bodyguards. And platelets? They're your on-call 24/7 emergency repair crew, ready to patch up any leaks at a moment's notice.
So let's zoom in on those oxygen taxis. The absolute key to their job is this amazing protein packed inside them called hemoglobin. It contains iron, and you can think of that iron like a magnet for oxygen. It grabs onto it in your lungs and then lets it go wherever your body needs it. But get this, a single red blood cell only lives for about 120 days. That's it. And this is why that whole hematopoiesis thing is so incredibly important. Your body is just constantly replacing millions of these cells every single second just to keep the whole system running. All right, next up, the bodyguards, your white blood cells. These are literally the highly trained soldiers of your immune system. They are actively hunting down and destroying invaders like bacteria and viruses. They are your absolute first line of defense when you get sick. But we're not talking about just one type of soldier here. Oh no, this is a full-on special forces unit. You've got your neutrophils, they're the first responders who rush in and literally gobble up bacteria. Then you have specialists like lymphocytes who create targeted weapons called antibodies to take down specific viruses. And when the fight's over, that's when the monocytes roll in, kind of like the cleanup crew.
And last but definitely not least, we've got the emergency repair crew. What's crazy is that platelets aren't even complete cells. They're just these tiny little fragments. But man, are they important. The second you get a cut, they swarm the area, stick together, and form a plug to stop the bleeding. Absolutely crucial.
Okay, so we've seen the system when everything is running smoothly, like a well-oiled machine. But what happens when that complex, super delicate system breaks? Now we're going to flip the script and look at the other side of the story, blood disorders. Now, the fancy medical term for this is a hematological disorder. But all that really means is something's gone wrong. Either the production line in your bone marrow is hitting a snag, or the cells themselves just aren't doing their jobs right. It's any kind of disruption in that perfect balance we just talked about. And to really get a handle on this, we're going to open up a few case files on some of the most common disorders out there. First up in our case files, anemia. And this quote right here just nails it. Anemia isn't really one disease, it's a symptom. At its core, it just means your blood isn't getting enough oxygen where it needs to go. The real detective work for doctors is figuring out why.
And one of the very first clues they look for is the size of the red blood cells themselves. It's kind of fascinating. Are the cells too small? They call that microcytic. Micro for small. That usually screams iron problem. Or are they too big? That's macrocytic, macro for large. That might point to a vitamin B12 or folate issue. So right away, the size of the cell starts telling a story. So let's dive into the most common one of all, iron deficiency anemia. This is your classic production problem, right? The factory just doesn't have the raw materials, in this case iron, to build the hemoglobin. This can happen from a diet that's, well, not great, sometimes called a tea and toast diet. And here's a fun fact, vitamin C is your best friend for absorbing iron. But the stuff in tea and coffee, it actually blocks it. Who knew?
Okay, our next case file is a totally different ballgame. Sickle cell anemia. This isn't about not having enough materials, this is a design flaw. It all starts with one tiny, single error in the genetic blueprint for hemoglobin itself.
And that one little mistake, it has huge, devastating consequences. You see, normal red blood cells are these soft, flexible little discs that can squeeze through the tiniest blood vessels, no problem. But sickle cells, they're rigid, they're shaped like a crescent moon, and they get stuck. They cause these massive traffic jams in your bloodstream. And that blockage, that's what leads to the terrible pain and organ damage that comes with the disease. And finally, let's circle back to our bodyguards. When your white blood cell count is out of whack, it's like a 911 dispatch call telling doctors exactly what kind of emergency is happening. If there's a huge spike in neutrophils, that's the alarm bell for a bacterial invasion. But if your lymphocytes are the ones showing up in huge numbers, the enemy is probably a virus, like the flu or mono. It's amazing. Your blood work is basically a battle report from the front lines.
So, what does all this mean for you? Well, it brings us to our final and maybe most practical point. All of this incredible biology, all these moving parts, we can actually peek under the hood and see what's going on, all through something as simple as a routine blood test.
And this is where everything we've talked about really comes together. A lab report, it's not just a bunch of random numbers, it's a story. It's packed with clues. You see low ferritin? That's your body's iron storage, and it could point right back to that tea and toast diet we talked about. You see a high MCV, meaning those big, oversized cells? That might be linked to the use of a common drug like metformin. Every single marker helps your doctor decode the story of what's happening inside your body. So when you really think about it, what's the big takeaway here? Your blood tells a story. It's a living, breathing chronicle of your health that's being updated every single second. It's a record of what you eat, your family history, and all the silent battles your body is fighting for you. Hopefully after this, you understand a few more pages of your own incredible story.